It was a balmy evening in the vibrant city of Lisbon, where a cozy, upscale restaurant named La Vida sat nestled among cobblestone streets. The restaurant was renowned for its exceptional cuisine, a carefully curated blend of Portuguese and Mediterranean flavors, and its refined yet welcoming ambience. Unbeknownst to most patrons, the establishment was owned by none other than Cristiano Ronaldo, the globally celebrated football icon. His involvement in the restaurant was a closely guarded secret. He wanted to create an oasis of culinary excellence without the shadow of his fame looming over it. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Cristiano had always cherished Lisbon, where his journey from a young boy with big dreams to an international star had begun. La Vida was his way of giving back to the city that held so many memories. He often visited the restaurant incognito, dressed casually and keeping his identity low-key. His visits were his moments of escape from the spotlight, allowing him to savor the simple joys of life and observe how his vision for the restaurant was unfolding. One Friday evening, Cristiano decided to drop by. It had been a while since he'd visited, and he wanted to see the team in action. Dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark jeans, he entered the restaurant with the quiet confidence of someone who knew the place was his. Despite his efforts to blend in, his striking appearance and aura were hard to ignore, and a few diners stole curious glances. Still, no one recognized him outright. He asked for a corner table, discreet and unobtrusive, from where he could enjoy his meal and take in the ambiance. Enter Sophia, a waitress known among her colleagues for her sharp tongue and no-nonsense demeanor. She was in her mid-20s with striking features and a fiery personality. Sophia prided herself on being efficient, but her brusque attitude often bordered on arrogance. She had a disdain for what she termed pretentious diners, a category she felt Cristiano fit into as soon as she laid eyes on him. When she approached his table, her tone lacked the warmth expected in such an establishment. "Good evening. Have you decided what you want, or should I give you more time?" she asked curtly, not bothering to conceal her impatience. Cristiano looked up, surprised by her tone. He smiled politely, his voice calm and pleasant. "I'll need a few minutes to decide. Thank you." Sophia rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath as she walked away. "Typical," she mumbled. She had no clue she was speaking to one of the most famous athletes in the world, someone who had dined in the finest establishments across continents. To her, he was just another customer trying too hard to seem important. As the evening progressed, Sophia's demeanor toward Cristiano didn't improve. She delivered his food with a perfunctory, "Here you go," without the customary flourish or even a smile. When he asked for a small change in his order, her response was dismissive. "That's not how it's usually served," she said bluntly, as though he were being unreasonable. Despite her attitude, Cristiano remained unflustered. He treated her with respect, his demeanor unchanging, though the contrast between her behavior and the otherwise impeccable service of the restaurant was glaring. Other staff members watched the interactions with growing unease, but no one intervened, unsure of how to address the situation. Toward the end of his meal, Cristiano requested a dessert recommendation. Sophia sighed, barely concealing her exasperation. "Look, the menu's right there. Just pick something," she said, her tone bordering on rude. Cristiano's eyebrows rose slightly, but he smiled. "All right, I'll go with the chef's special," he said. As Sophia walked away, he shook his head, bemused by her attitude but choosing not to make a scene. After finishing his meal, Cristiano requested to speak with the manager, a soft-spoken man named Miguel who had worked at La Vida since its inception. When Miguel approached the table, Sophia stood nearby, curious about what the customer wanted to say. She assumed he was about to complain about something trivial, and she braced herself for what she considered inevitable. To her astonishment, Miguel greeted Cristiano with a warm smile and addressed him with deference. "Good evening, Mr. Ronaldo. I hope everything was to your liking." Sophia's jaw dropped. Mr. Ronaldo? Surely not. Her mind raced, piecing together the realization that the man she had treated so dismissively was none other than Cristiano Ronaldo, the owner of the restaurant. Cristiano looked at Miguel, then glanced at Sophia. "The food was excellent, as always," he began, his tone measured. "But I must say the service left something to be desired." Miguel's expression shifted to one of concern. "I'm terribly sorry to hear that, sir. Please, let me know what went wrong." Cristiano gestured toward Sophia, who stood frozen in place, her face flushed with embarrassment. This young lady seemed quite unhappy to have me as a customer tonight. I'm not sure why, but her attitude was far from welcoming. Miguel's face paled. He turned to Sophia, his voice stern but controlled. Sophia, is this true? Sophia stammered, struggling to find her words. I didn't realize. I mean, I didn't know. Cristiano held up a hand, cutting her off gently. It's all right. I'm not here to make trouble, but this restaurant stands for excellence. Not just in food, but in how we treat people. Every customer, whether they're famous or not, deserves respect and kindness. The room fell silent, and Sophia felt the weight of every eye on her. She wished the ground would swallow her whole. This was no ordinary customer complaint. She had humiliated the owner of the restaurant without even knowing it. I'm truly sorry, sir, she said finally, her voice trembling. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Cristiano nodded, his expression softening slightly. Everyone has off days, and we all make mistakes. What matters is learning from them. He turned to Miguel. She's young, and I believe in second chances. But make sure the team understands what we stand for. Miguel nodded fervently, grateful for Cristiano's grace. Absolutely, sir. I'll address this immediately. With that, Cristiano rose from his seat, leaving a generous tip on the table. He offered Sophia a small smile before heading toward the exit. Good luck, he said quietly as he passed her, his tone carrying no malice, only sincerity. As the door closed behind him, Sophia sank into a chair, overwhelmed by a mix of humiliation and gratitude. She had been given a rare opportunity to learn a valuable lesson from a man who could have easily dismissed her. From that day on, she resolved to change her approach, not just at work, but in life. Respect, she realized, wasn't about knowing someone's status. It was about treating everyone with dignity, no matter who they were. The story of that evening spread quickly among the staff and even reached the ears of regular patrons. For many, it became a tale of humility, grace, and the power of second chances. As for Cristiano, he continued to visit La Vida, always blending in, always observing, and always believing in the potential for people to grow. Sophia's world turned upside down after that fateful night. The embarrassment she felt from her interaction with Cristiano Ronaldo lingered, a constant reminder of her behavior. She replayed the events in her mind, each detail sharpening her regret. She hadn't just been rude to a customer. She had failed to uphold the values of respect and professionalism that the restaurant prided itself on. More than anything, she was haunted by Ronaldo's calm demeanor and his willingness to forgive. It was a lesson delivered with quiet dignity, and it struck a chord deep within her. The days that followed were difficult for Sophia. Every corner of the restaurant seemed to whisper about her misstep. Although no one openly ridiculed her, she could sense the glances and hushed conversations. Her colleagues, who were used to her sharp wit and brisk attitude, now saw a more subdued version of her. She felt exposed, her confidence shaken. For someone who had always prided herself on her independence and self-reliance, this newfound vulnerability was unsettling. But Sophia was not one to wallow in self-pity. She realized that the only way to move forward was to confront her behavior and make amends. She began by seeking out Miguel, the restaurant manager who had witnessed the entire debacle. "May I have a moment of your time?" she asked hesitantly one morning before the restaurant opened. Miguel, ever the professional, nodded and gestured for her to sit. "I want to apologize," Sophia began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "I let my frustrations and assumptions get the better of me, and I disrespected not just Mr. Ronaldo, but the values of this restaurant. I understand if you've lost trust in me, but I want to earn it back." Miguel listened carefully, his expression thoughtful. "Sophia, I won't deny that what happened was disappointing, but what matters now is what you do moving forward. This place is built on the idea of treating everyone with dignity, whether they're a celebrity or just someone looking for a good meal. Can you commit to that?" Sophia nodded fervently. I will. I've learned my lesson." Miguel's stern expression softened. "Then prove it, not just to me, but to yourself. Show me that you've grown from this." With Miguel's words ringing in her ears, Sophia threw herself into her work with renewed purpose. She paid closer attention to her customers, offering genuine smiles and taking the time to ensure their dining experience was exceptional. She went out of her way to assist her colleagues, helping clear tables and even covering shifts when others couldn't make it. Slowly but surely, the tension between her and her coworkers began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of camaraderie. But Sophia's journey wasn't just about improving her work ethic. The encounter with Ronaldo had sparked a deeper introspection. She began to question why she had been so dismissive and quick to judge others. It was a habit rooted in years of insecurity, a defense mechanism she had developed to shield herself from the fear of rejection or failure. Confronting this realization was uncomfortable, but it was also liberating. For the first time in years, Sophia allowed herself to be vulnerable, to acknowledge her flaws and actively work on them. Meanwhile, the story of that evening had taken on a life of its own. Regular patrons whispered about the waitress who had unwittingly insulted the restaurant's owner, and the tale reached far beyond the confines of La Vida. It became a parable of humility and forgiveness, with Ronaldo's calm response serving as a model of grace under pressure. News outlets picked up on the story, spinning it into headlines that ranged from humorous to inspirational. Despite the publicity, Ronaldo remained characteristically low-key. He avoided interviews about the incident, insisting that the focus should remain on the restaurant and its mission. Behind the scenes, however, he kept a watchful eye on Sophia's progress. Miguel kept him updated, and he was pleased to hear about her transformation. Several months later, Ronaldo decided it was time for another visit. He had been traveling extensively for his career and hadn't had a chance to return to Lisbon in a while. As he walked into La Vida, the familiar ambiance greeted him like an old friend. The soft glow of the chandeliers, the gentle hum of conversation, and the tantalizing aroma of freshly prepared dishes created a welcoming atmosphere. This time, Ronaldo's presence didn't go unnoticed. Word of his previous visit had left the staff more attuned to the possibility of his return, and several employees recognized him immediately. Yet they maintained their professionalism, treating him as they would any other guest. Sophia, however, was caught off guard when she saw him. Her heart raced as memories of their last encounter flooded back. She hesitated for a moment, unsure of whether to approach him or let someone else handle his table. But then she remembered her promise to herself, to face challenges head-on and to treat every customer with the respect they deserved. Summoning her courage, Sophia walked over to Ronaldo's table, her posture poised and her expression calm. "Good evening, sir," she said warmly. "Welcome back to La Vida. It's a pleasure to have you with us again. May I take your order?" Ronaldo looked up, his eyes twinkling with recognition. He smiled, a genuine and reassuring gesture. "Good evening, it's good to be back." Sophia felt a wave of relief. His smile wasn't one of mockery or condescension, but one of encouragement. She took his order with professionalism and attentiveness, ensuring that every detail was perfect. When she brought out his food, she took the time to explain each dish, showcasing her knowledge and genuine enthusiasm for the menu. Throughout the evening, Ronaldo observed her interactions with other diners. She moved through the restaurant with confidence, her demeanor warm and engaging. It was clear that she had taken his words to heart and transformed herself in the process. As Ronaldo finished his meal, he called Sophia over. "I have to say," he began, "the service tonight has been exceptional." Sophia smiled, her gratitude evident. "Thank you, Mr. Ronaldo. That means a lot." He studied her for a moment, then added, "It's not easy to change. It takes courage and self-awareness, and I respect that. You've done well." Tears pricked at the corners of Sophia's eyes, but she blinked them away. "Thank you. Truly. Your kindness that night, it changed my perspective. I'll never forget it." Ronaldo nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Sometimes we all need a little reminder of what really matters. You've turned that reminder into something meaningful, and that's what counts." When Ronaldo left the restaurant that night, he left behind more than just a generous tip. He left a legacy of growth and transformation, one that would ripple through La Vida for years to come. Sophia's journey became an inspiration to her colleagues, a testament to the power of humility, self-reflection, and the willingness to learn from mistakes. In the months that followed, Sophia's growth extended beyond the walls of the restaurant. She enrolled in a hospitality management course, eager to deepen her understanding of the industry. Her newfound passion for customer service became her calling, and she dreamed of one day managing her own establishment, one that embodied the values she had come to cherish. As for Ronaldo, La Vida remained a special place for him, a sanctuary where he could escape the pressures of fame and reconnect with the simple pleasures of life. He continued to visit occasionally, always blending in and observing from the sidelines. For him, the restaurant wasn't just a business, it was a symbol of his roots, a reminder of the journey that had shaped him into the man he was. Years later, when Sophia achieved her dream of opening her own restaurant, she named it Second Chances. The name was a tribute to the lesson she had learned and to the man who had taught her that everyone, regardless of their mistakes, deserved the opportunity to grow and redeem themselves. Years after Sophia had transformed her life and opened her restaurant, Second Chances, the journey she embarked upon continued to inspire and define her. Every decision she made in her new establishment was a reflection of the lessons she had learned at La Vida and the pivotal moment with Cristiano Ronaldo. Her restaurant became a beacon for individuals who sought to improve themselves, both professionally and personally. It attracted not just diners, but also aspiring restaurateurs, waitstaff, and chefs who resonated with its ethos. Sophia's commitment to the idea of growth and redemption extended beyond the way she treated her customers. She took pride in hiring individuals who had been overlooked by the industry: single parents, those with troubled pasts, and even those who lacked formal qualifications but displayed a genuine passion for hospitality. Each employee was trained meticulously, not just in the technicalities of the job, but in the philosophy that had shaped Second Chances. One of Sophia's most cherished hires was Marco, a young man in his late 20s who had struggled to find stable employment due to his criminal record. Marco had served time for petty theft, a consequence of poor decisions made during a difficult upbringing. When Sophia interviewed him, his honesty struck her. He admitted his mistakes openly and expressed a deep desire to turn his life around. Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, Sophia decided to take a leap of faith. Marco started as a dishwasher, but it wasn't long before his potential became apparent. He showed an eagerness to learn, always staying late to observe the kitchen staff and asking questions about the culinary process. Sophia noticed his dedication and began mentoring him personally. Under her guidance, Marco learned the intricacies of cooking, customer service, and management. Within 2 years, he rose to the position of sous chef, a transformation that mirrored Sophia's own journey of growth. Sophia's efforts didn't go unnoticed. The story of Second Chances gained traction, with local and national media outlets highlighting the unique mission of the restaurant. Critics praised not only the exceptional food, but also the heartwarming stories behind the scenes. Sophia's belief in the potential for change had created a space where both employees and customers felt connected to something larger than themselves. One evening, several years after the opening of Second Chances, a familiar face walked through the door. Sophia, busy reviewing inventory in the back office, was called to the front by one of her hosts. "There's someone here who says he knows you," the host said, a curious smile on her face. When Sophia emerged from the kitchen, her heart skipped a beat. Standing near the entrance, dressed in his signature understated style, was Cristiano Ronaldo. Despite the years that had passed, his presence carried the same quiet confidence she remembered from their first encounter. "Mr. Ronaldo," she said, unable to hide her surprise, "I didn't expect to see you here." He smiled warmly. "Please, call me Cristiano. I heard about this place and had to see it for myself. You've done something incredible here, Sophia." She led him to a private table near the window, her mind racing as she tried to process his unexpected visit. "What can I get for you?" she asked after handing him the menu. Cristiano chuckled. "I'll trust the chef's recommendation. Surprise me." Sophia couldn't help but smile. She relayed the order to Marco in the kitchen, who, upon hearing Ronaldo's name, nearly dropped his ladle. "The Cristiano Ronaldo?" he asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. "The one and only," Sophia confirmed with a grin. "Let's make this a meal to remember." The kitchen buzzed with energy as Marco and the team worked tirelessly to prepare a dish that reflected the essence of the restaurant. They settled on a modern take on a classic Portuguese stew, incorporating fresh, locally sourced ingredients. When Sophia served the dish herself, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. It was a culmination of everything she had worked for, a blend of passion, hard work, and the belief that people could rise above their circumstances. As Cristiano savored the meal, he asked Sophia about the restaurant's journey. She recounted the challenges she had faced, from securing funding to building a team and establishing a reputation. Throughout her story, she emphasized the influence he had on her life. "You set an example for me that night," she said, her voice steady but emotional. You could have humiliated me, but instead you taught me a lesson with kindness. It changed everything. Cristiano listened attentively, his expression thoughtful. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on hers. It takes strength to admit your mistakes and even more to turn them into something beautiful. You've done that, and I'm proud of you. Sophia's eyes glistened with unshed tears, but she quickly composed herself. Thank you. That means more than I can say. The evening continued with easy conversation, punctuated by laughter and shared memories of La Vida. By the time Ronaldo left, he had not only signed the guest book, but had also taken photos with the staff and left an exceptionally generous tip. His visit became the talk of the town, further cementing the restaurant's reputation as a place of significance. Sophia, however, remained grounded. While the recognition was gratifying, her focus remained on her mission. She continued to expand her initiatives, hosting workshops for aspiring restaurateurs and partnering with local charities to provide job training for marginalized communities. Each new project was another layer of the legacy she was building, a legacy rooted in the simple yet profound belief that everyone deserved a second chance. Years passed, and second chances grew into a small chain of restaurants, each one carrying the same ethos as the original. Sophia traveled frequently, overseeing operations and mentoring her staff. Despite her success, she remained deeply involved in the day-to-day workings of the restaurants, often rolling up her sleeves to help in the kitchen or greet diners. One day, while visiting the original location, Sophia received an unexpected letter. It was from Ronaldo, who had followed her journey closely over the years. The letter was handwritten, a rare and personal gesture. In it, Ronaldo expressed his admiration for everything she had achieved. Your story is one of the most inspiring I've ever encountered, he wrote. You've taken a single moment of reflection and turned it into a lifetime of impact. You remind me that greatness isn't just about what we achieve, but about how we uplift others along the way. Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes as she read his words. She framed the letter and hung it in the restaurant's entrance, where it served as a reminder of the moment that had changed her life and the man who had inspired her transformation. As Sophia stood beneath the framed letter, watching the bustle of the restaurant around her, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The path she had walked hadn't been easy, but it had been worth every step. She had learned that true success wasn't measured by accolades or profit margins, but by the lives she had touched and the opportunities she had created. And so, the story of a waitress who once humiliated Cristiano Ronaldo became more than a tale of redemption. It became a legacy of hope, kindness, and the unyielding belief that with grace and determination, anyone could rise above their circumstances and achieve greatness. As the years went on, Sophia's influence extended far beyond her restaurants. She became a sought-after speaker at conferences and industry events, where she shared her story with an ever-growing audience. Her tale wasn't just about hospitality. It was about resilience, transformation, and the ability to find purpose in adversity. Audiences were captivated by her authenticity and the deeply personal way she spoke about her journey, including the humbling experience that had sparked it all. Sophia often reflected on how one moment of grace had redirected her life. She never shied away from mentioning Cristiano Ronaldo's role in her transformation. It wasn't just about being forgiven, she would tell her audiences. It was about someone seeing potential in me, even when I couldn't see it myself. That belief changed everything. The impact of her message resonated far beyond the restaurant world. She was invited to speak at schools, rehabilitation centers, and community organizations. Her ability to connect with people from all walks of life was rooted in her honesty. She didn't present herself as perfect or without flaws. Instead, she shared her vulnerabilities and the hard-earned lessons she had learned through failure and growth. In time, Sophia authored a book titled Second Chances: The Power of Grace and Growth. The book chronicled her journey in vivid detail, starting with her early years, the challenges she faced, and the pivotal moment at La Vida. It delved into her philosophy on leadership, the importance of empathy, and the value of building people up rather than tearing them down. The book became a bestseller, earning praise for its heartfelt storytelling and practical insights. While Sophia's public profile grew, she remained grounded in the values that had shaped her journey. She spent most of her time mentoring her staff and ensuring her restaurants maintained their mission of inclusivity and opportunity. She introduced programs within her organization to support employee development, offering scholarships for culinary education and creating a mentorship initiative where experienced staff guided newcomers. One day, Sophia received an unexpected call from a young woman named Elena, who had recently been hired as a waitress at one of the newer locations of Second Chances. Elena, nervous but determined, shared her story. She had struggled with confidence after being dismissed from several previous jobs for being too slow to learn. "I wanted to thank you," Elena said, her voice trembling with emotion. "No one else gave me a chance, but you did, and now I feel like I belong." Sophia felt a lump rise in her throat as she listened. It was moments like these that reminded her why she had started this journey in the first place. Every life she touched, every story like Elena's, was a testament to the ripple effect of compassion and belief. The power of a single act of kindness, one moment of forgiveness, had grown into something extraordinary. Sophia's life had come full circle, and through her work, she ensured that others could find their second chances too. Sophia's story continued to evolve, intertwining with the lives of countless individuals who crossed her path. Her restaurants became more than places to dine. They became symbols of hope and transformation. Each establishment had its unique character, shaped by the community it served, yet all were united by the guiding principles Sophia had instilled: kindness, dignity, and the belief in the potential for growth. One of her most ambitious initiatives was a partnership with local vocational schools and rehabilitation centers. Through this collaboration, Second Chances offered structured apprenticeship programs for individuals who needed help finding their footing. These apprenticeships provided not just skills, but also mentorship and support, creating a lifeline for people who had often been overlooked or written off by society. From troubled teens to middle-aged individuals seeking a fresh start, the program opened doors that had long been closed to them. One particular success story was that of Clara, a single mother of two who had struggled to rebuild her life after leaving an abusive relationship. When Clara joined the apprenticeship program as a kitchen assistant, she was shy and unsure of herself, hesitant to believe she deserved more than the hardship she had endured. Sophia noticed her potential immediately and took Clara under her wing, offering encouragement and opportunities to learn. Months turned into years, and Clara's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. She rose through the ranks, becoming the head pastry chef at one of the flagship locations of Second Chances. Her desserts gained a following, with customers raving about the intricate flavors and creative presentation. Clara eventually launched her own line of baked goods, with Sophia proudly supporting her every step of the way. Clara's story became another chapter in the growing legacy of the movement Sophia had sparked. Sophia's commitment to making a difference wasn't confined to her businesses. She began hosting annual fundraising galas, using her platform to support charities aligned with her mission. The events, attended by community leaders, celebrities, and former employees whose lives had been changed, became highly anticipated occasions. At each gala, Sophia shared stories of resilience and hope, often highlighting the incredible journeys of those who had thrived within the walls of her restaurants. One evening, during a particularly memorable gala, Sophia was approached by an elderly gentleman named Eduardo. He was a retired teacher who had followed Sophia's story for years. "You've done something extraordinary," Eduardo said, his voice filled with admiration. "You've not only built a business, but created a legacy that will outlive you. Do you ever think about what's next?" Sophia smiled, touched by his words. "What's next is to keep doing this for as long as I can. And when I can't, I'll make sure the mission lives on. It's not about me. It never has been. It's about the people we lift up along the way." As Eduardo nodded, Sophia realized her work had transcended her own life. It was a movement, an idea that would ripple outward, touching countless lives in ways she could only begin to imagine. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on a waitress humiliating Cristiano Ronaldo, unaware he owns the restaurant? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.